Angela Rayner, the current Deputy British Prime Minister, famously said, if you remember, that, well, lots of people were going to be stopped from having second jobs. This is Angela, of course, who had a second job while she was in opposition as a radio host on the very little watched and listened to LBC radio. Funny when you think, if I told you some of the stories that go on behind the scenes, you wouldn't believe it, in fact. I think what's fascinating is one of the main presenters at LBC recently had their wedding, and the person that follows them every single morning, James O'Brien, wasn't invited. The lame excuse was it was a diary clash. The true story is they can't stand each other, but on air they have to pretend to get on. You see what I mean? It's a little bit like the world of politics and Angela Rayner. Now, as ever, let me explain. Good to see you, chums. Thank you so much for joining me today. Nice to have your company. It's a funny do, the world of politics, you know, because really it's about treading a very fine line. We'll have a wave. Nice to see you. Welcome one and all brand new subscribers. It really is. When you're there, it doesn't matter what government is in, you watch them. And before, I would say, particularly in the era of probably the 50s, 60s and 70s, maybe a little bit into the 80s during the Margaret Thatcher reign, people were into politics because they wanted to change the world, things for the better. Now, when you see all these MPs, and remember, I've stood and been very close to these MPs in TV studios and been behind my own reception desk in my studio and stuff like that, they forget you're there and you just listen to these conversations. And the bottom line is most of them care more about their followers on TikTok, their brand awareness, their influence, what money they can make on cameos, selling personalized ads. It's all about making as much money as possible in the time that you are. And then, as we saw with that, guy who's now on the failing Good Morning Britain, Ed Balls, once you come out of politics, you've got a bit of a name. So you could possibly, once you've got out of politics, of course, you've now got a name. So then you could possibly go on something like Strictly Come Dancing, make an absolute galoot of yourself. But as long as they're paying, then the BBC will give you more money to make documentaries. Do you see what I mean? This is how it works. Now, what's interesting is Angela Rayner has realised this very quickly. She's already on 3 homes, and this alleged new home is on £800,000. She's been able to buy this home. How on earth has she managed to accumulate so much money? 3 homes, right, already, but she's got this on that MP salary. It's not huge. What is she doing to get this money? Interestingly, so far, Sir Keir Starmer said there's nothing untoward about what she's done. Interesting, if people dig a little bit further, you might find there is. But this, of course, is Keir Starmer, who said there's nothing to see with regards to the disgraced and removed MP, Nick Brown. Look into that. Fascinating story. What's interesting here, though, is right now, where Ange is based in Brighton with a new home, they have a new mayor of Brighton. This mayor can barely speak English, right? I mean, look at it. And you come away thinking this is representing a once great Regency seaside town, brought, of course, to the world's attention, all thanks to the royals taking the waters. That's really how it started. Now, what's interesting is, despite the fact that he can't speak English, his council have decided that they're going to be removing all the British flags, whether that be St. George's or, of course, our Union Jack, because, well, yeah, they feel uncomfortable. It makes them feel queasy. He's managed to get enough English out for that. Now, the person that could stop this, and who was literally there in the town at the time of this happening, you've guessed it, this woman. Of course, Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister. Did she step in? Did she go along and see him? No. Not bothered, really, no. She was very interested in making sure she got these carefully crafted pictures out and about there. Remember, she has her own personal photographer for £68,000 a year. And she wanted to look like the woman of the people because she knew that this story about that very expensive £800,000 home would be coming out. You get the picture. So as for standing up for Great Britain and, of course, the town, who would be very keen to have their, traditions upheld, well, Ange was a little bit busy, vaping and sipping champagne on the beach with her chums. That's the sort of person that we now have representing us. And this particular story is fascinating in itself because, as I said, they're all falling apart behind the scenes. And the bigger problem that you now have is the implosion means that if Keir suddenly does get ousted, well, the next in line is this woman. Can you imagine? Oh yes, Neil Shaw in Kensington, London.